The boy king who brought Judah back to God. The dust in the air was thick, and the smell of burning idols filled the streets. Josiah's heart raced as he stood before the great altar of Baal. The people gathered around, some whispering in disbelief, others watching in awe. With one swift motion, he raised his hand and gave the order to tear down the idol. The crowd fell silent. This was no ordinary king. This was the king who dared to confront the very foundation of Judah's rebellion. At just 8 years old, Josiah ascended the throne of Judah. Most kings would have been too young to comprehend the weight of the crown, but Josiah wasn't like the others. His grandfather, Manasseh, had led Judah into deep idolatry, and his father, Ammon, followed in his footsteps, leaving the nation in spiritual ruins. The temple in Jerusalem was a forgotten relic, and the law of Moses had been lost to time. Yet, Josiah was different. He felt something stirring inside of him, a calling, a desire to seek God. As he grew older, the signs of the nation's decay became more evident. By the time he was 16, Josiah's heart had already turned toward God. "I can't let this continue," he murmured to himself one night, pacing the halls of the royal palace. His mother, Jedidah, had often spoken of the righteousness of God, but it was up to him to take action. He couldn't sit back and watch his kingdom crumble under the weight of its sins. At just 20, Josiah made a decision that would change the course of history. He began to purge Judah of its idolatry. He tore down the altars to false gods, smashed the images of Baal and Asherah, and ordered that all the shrines be destroyed. His people were confused. "How can this young king do what his ancestors couldn't?" they asked. But Josiah's passion for God burned brighter than their doubts. The sound of destruction echoed throughout the land, and Josiah knew he had to go further. "The temple must be restored," he declared. The temple had been in ruins for years, neglected and ignored. He could see the sacred place in his mind, beautiful and whole again. Josiah's voice was filled with determination as he commanded workers to begin repairs. But little did he know, what they would find would change everything. The workers were clearing away rubble when one of them called out, "We found something!" Josiah rushed to the site, heart pounding in his chest. There, amidst the debris, was the Book of the Law, the ancient scroll that had been lost for generations. His hands trembled as he held it. He had heard whispers of it, but now it was real, sitting in his hands. "The law of Moses," he whispered, barely able to contain his awe. This was the foundation upon which everything stood, and yet it had been forgotten. Josiah's chest tightened as he realized the weight of what had been lost. He ordered the scroll to be read aloud, and as the words poured into his ears, he was overwhelmed by grief. "How far we have fallen," he muttered, the realization sinking in. The covenant had been broken, and the nation was on the brink of destruction. Josiah's eyes filled with tears as he cried out, "Lord, have mercy on us!" The pages of the law spoke of the blessings of obedience and the curses of disobedience. Josiah knew the consequences of Judah's sins would be dire, but his heart refused to give in to despair. He had to act. He sent his officials to consult with the prophetess Huldah, a woman known for her wisdom and faithfulness to God. When Josiah heard her words, his heart sank. "Disaster is coming," she told him. "Judah's judgment is inevitable. But because of your humility, Josiah, you will be spared from seeing it." Josiah's relief was bittersweet. He would not live to see the fall of Jerusalem, but the people would. The thought of Judah's destruction haunted him, but he couldn't let that stop him. Josiah gathered the people together, and standing before them, he read aloud from the book of the law. His voice rang out, echoing through the streets of Jerusalem. "Today we renew our covenant with God," he proclaimed. "We will follow the Lord with all our hearts, all our souls, and all our might." The people listened, captivated by the sincerity in his voice. It wasn't just a king speaking, it was someone who believed every word. Josiah was not just leading, he was showing them the way back to God. As the people responded, Josiah's reforms grew even more radical. He removed the remaining idols and desecrated the altars of false gods. The pagan priests were deposed, and the practice of child sacrifice was finally ended. "This ends now," Josiah said, his voice firm, his actions unwavering. Josiah's reforms were unparalleled. His zeal for God and his word led him to celebrate the Passover in a way that had never been done before. Thousands of animals were sacrificed, and a nationwide festival was held. The people of Judah came together in repentance and joy, renewing their commitment to God. It was a spiritual awakening, a revival that hadn't been seen since the days of Samuel. But Josiah's reign was not without opposition. As Assyria weakened, Egypt's Pharaoh Necho marched north, and Josiah, unwilling to allow any threat to his kingdom, prepared for battle. His advisors tried to warn him, but Josiah was resolute. "This is my kingdom," he declared. "I must protect it." At the Battle of Megiddo, Josiah's courage led him to face Pharaoh's army, even though it was a battle he couldn't win. The clash was fierce, and Josiah was struck by an arrow. His blood stained the battlefield as his soldiers rushed to him. "Take me back," he whispered. His voice was barely audible as he lay dying. "I have fought the good fight," he said. "I will not see the fall of Judah, but I have given my life for it." His death was a devastating blow. The people mourned for Josiah as if they had lost their own father. The prophet Jeremiah composed a lament for the fallen king. Josiah's death was a reminder that even the most faithful leaders cannot escape the consequences of a nation's rebellion. But his life was not in vain. The reforms he instituted brought a brief period of spiritual renewal. Josiah was remembered as the king who turned his heart to God with all his soul and might. And his story serves as a call to us today. In a world filled with idolatry and sin, Josiah's life reminds us that true devotion to God can change the course of history. His faithfulness in the midst of spiritual darkness is a legacy that still echoes today. If you found Josiah's story inspiring, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories of faith and courage. Share your thoughts below. What part of Josiah's reign spoke to you the most? Keep the conversation going.